Good morning and welcome to another new week. Thank you so much for joining me here for a couple of thoughts from the Bible today. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 9, we're introduced to a character called Saul. He's a young man and he's lost his donkeys, or his father's donkeys. Somebody has lost some donkeys and Saul is trying to find them. He and his servant end up going to speak to a man of God, a prophet called Samuel, to ask him where these missing donkeys have got to. Well, it doesn't go quite as they expected. They're told the donkeys are safe and sound, don't worry. But instead, Samuel ends up anointing Saul as the future king of Israel. And he gives him this very specific rundown of events that are going to happen in the next half day, the people he's going to meet, even the food he's going to eat. And he tells him that a moment will come when the Spirit will come on Saul and he would be changed into a new person. 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 7, Samuel concludes this wrap up by saying, "Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you." Do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. It's so easy, I think, to get caught up and to get worried about doing the right thing, about being fully in the will of God, about knowing that one specific task that God has in store for you, that, if you don't find out what it is, you're going to completely miss out and not really be walking in God's will for your life. We can get so caught up in trying to find out what our purpose is, what that will of God is for us, that I think we sometimes miss the point. Because God is with us in whatever we do, not only in one specific mystical task that we need to discover. He is with you in whatever your hand finds to do. If you are walking in relationship with God today, if you are seeking to know him more, to love him more, to follow after him, then what you do is way less important than that, because the more you know him, the more you will naturally follow after him and do his will, the more you will see his hand on your life, not in some one specific area, but in every single thing that you do. But I wonder how often we actually end up distancing ourselves from God because we're too caught up in thinking about the thing that he wants us to do than in knowing him. Doing the right thing, being in the right place, those things matter so much less than knowing God more. And it doesn't mean, of course, that God can't guide you into some specific role, into some specific action. He can do that. He does do that. Throughout the Bible, we hear of instances where God has told people to do specific things. And we hear of it through stories of Christians throughout the ages as well. Of course he can. But getting that direction is not the be-all and end-all. And I think that we can sometimes end up almost paralyzed, not wanting to do anything because we're not sure if it's the right thing. We're just waiting for some kind of audible voice, for some kind of divine inspiration to determine what we should do with our lives, with our days, with our weeks, with our months. When God isn't wanting us to find this one thing, he's just wanting us to do something, to do anything so that he can bless it. That's actually what I talked about in my last video. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, because sometimes the thing that we need to do is just to do something. Do you want to know God's will for your life? I expect the answer is yes, it is for most of us. But if that is the one burning question that is pushing everything else aside right now, then I want to encourage you to forget it, to put it down, to stop asking that question over and over again, and instead to focus your attention on knowing God, on spending time with him, not for the express purpose of finding out your mission in life, but just to be with him, just to love him. You know, it is okay to ask for guidance. That is a good thing to do. Of course it is. If you find yourself at a crossroads situation in your life and you're not sure which way to turn, it's okay to ask for guidance. But the better we know God, the more we're following after him, the more he'll be able to speak specifics into our hearts, into our minds, and for us to understand them. See, what's God's will for your life today? I can answer that question. It is to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, with all of your strength. That is his will for your life. It is to love him. It is to love others. That is what he is calling you to do. You don't need some specific goal or task or mission to do that. You can start doing that right here, right now, in whatever situation you find yourself, in whatever your life looks like right now. Love God, love others. That's his will for you today. That's all you need to know. Start with that and do something. Thank you so much for joining me for this thought from the Bible today. I'm actually going on holiday for a week from later this week, so there won't be any videos this week or next week now until the week after that, if that makes sense. Yes, so I will see you the next time I release a video in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you so much again for joining me. Stay well, stay healthy, stay in love with God. Follow after him. That is the most important thing for your life. See you next time.